Beautiful. Thanks very much for your patience there, guys. All right, thanks for that. These technical issues all seem to happen. So good morning, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. The press briefing at 9 a.m. on a Monday is always a good opportunity. So thanks very much for coming along. My name's Ben McIntosh. I'm the Director of Sales for Vodafone Australia. And I'd like to acknowledge our special guest today, the team from Qantas. We have David Young, the Executive Manager of Commercial. We have Greg Allen, the General Manager of Retail. Darren McDermott, the Business Development Manager. Leslie Bauer, the Head of Qantas Frequent Flyer Marketing. And Jessica Richards, who's the Corporate Communications Manager. We have some exciting news to share with you today. Vodafone is delighted to be forming a strategic partnership with Qantas and aligning our global networks. Building on our partnerships already with Spotify, Stan and Fairfax, our new partnership with Qantas is about delivering more value to the travelling Vodafone customers. This partnership exemplifies our commitment to our customers to deliver the best value and providing the most relevant inclusions from the customer feedback that we receive. Australians love to travel. Last year alone, there were over 9 million trips by Australians overseas, and Qantas is Australia's largest national and international carrier. Australian Vodafone customers love their smartphones and being in touch anywhere. And remember that Qantas has over 11 million frequent flyer and acquire members. So it's not just about our company colours that align us. It's the customers we speak to, both domestic and international. Qantas is leading Australian-based domestic and international network with the One World Codeshare Alliance, along with Vodafone Hutchison Australia's leading global network through its parents of Vodafone Group and Hutchison. We also share destinations where Qantas flies to internationally, and of course Vodafone has its award-winning $5 a day roaming, such as the USA, UK, China, Fiji, Hong Kong, India, Indonesia, Ireland, Japan, New Zealand, which we're going to talk about shortly, Singapore, South Africa, Thailand, and of course the vast majority of Europe. Qantas also carries the majority of inbound and outbound passenger traffic by Australian Airlines. And Vodafone, of course, is a leader in the international roaming and is a preferred network for many of our international guests that arrive into the country. So the partnership in a bit more detail, the Qantas Frequent Flyer members can now receive up to 15,000 points on Qantas Vodafone 24-month plans and SIM-only plans. Qantas Acquire members can receive up to 15,000 points on Qantas Vodafone plans and 24-month SIM-only plans. Vodafone will be powering corporate services for Qantas employees. Vodafone will have an exclusive Qantas in-sky duty-free mobility rights for Australian carriers. And Vodafone products and services can now be purchased on the digital store, which is store.qantas.com. So the plan's in a little bit more detail. Our $80 24-month plan or our $45 SIM-only 24-month plan, the customers will receive 4,000 points. Now this is available to our new and upgrading customers. All initiatives with Vodafone Hutchison Australia include our existing customers, not just new. Our $100 24-month plan or $60 24-month SIM-only plans, customers will receive 5,000 points. Our flagship $130 24-month plan or $85 SIM-only 24-month plan receives 7,500 points. And if you buy online through either Vodafone.com or Qantas, those points are doubled. So both partners are very excited to drive awareness of this new partnership, and we'll be making this highly visible through every single key asset that we can. So here's just a few examples. Of course, when you fly Qantas, you'll see it on the concourse, you'll see it on the boarding passes, you'll see it on the Aero Bridge. You'll also see it in the In-Sky Duty Free magazine, which we have some copies here for you to see afterwards. Most of the Qantas digital assets, the Qantas store, the Vodafone digital assets, all Vodafone branded retail stores, all the Vodafone retail digital signage, and of course all Vodafone catalogues moving forward. Again, this is not just for consumers, it's for business as well, and we're very, very excited about the partnership. So this concludes the first presentation for this morning. I appreciate your time so early this morning. As Anthony said, there will be definitely time to an opportunity to ask some questions at the conclusion of the presentation. But for our second announcement, I'm very excited to introduce to you my esteemed colleague, Blue Fund Chief Marketing Officer, for the second announcement.
Thanks, Ben. morning, everyone. How are you? So we've got all the posters up, so you can already guess what's going on. So just try and stay surprised. But it's really exciting. So firstly, thanks again for being here, the media, as well as our business partners, Qantas. Thank you for being here. So Ben has already shared with you an exciting partnership with Qantas. So I'm here to share with you another exciting news. This is really a first in Australia, and it's a customer benefit that will actually challenge the industry norm and in terms of international roaming. Like Ben said, we know that Australians like to travel, but when they do travel, they actually worry about using their phones overseas, right? And they live in fear in terms of the roaming charges. So research actually tells us that, I can't imagine how it can be less than 1, but stats says less than 1 in 5 Australians actually, do not use mobile roaming. So it's about 17% of the customers are actually, when they travel, do not use roaming at all. And the customers who do not roam, 40% of them, more than 40% of them says that, they are not using it because they feel that it's risky and it's complicated. And close to 70% of the customers of Australians actually do not understand at all the roaming charges. Now, when you think about this is really a big problem because we all know how dependent we are on our phones every day. It's not just a connectivity tool, it is for us to share experiences. But I think more than that, it helps us navigate our lives. But what happens when someone travels overseas? All that behavior suddenly changes. Right? So what do? They switch off their data, or they, spend time looking for public Wi-Fi, spending more time than you would in a cafe or in a fast food restaurant or stay in a hotel just to be able to download things. Or, and most of them actually do this. They actually go to a local mobile store and actually spend time there trying to figure out what is the local plan for them to get a SIM. And some of them don't even use their phone at all. So when you think about all of the ways that we would go to actually avoid bill shock and roaming charges. Now, 2 years ago in 2013, Vodafone has actually led the market to actually try and change all of these things, right? And we challenged the industry norm and actually came up with $5 per day roaming. So what it is really simple and it's affordable. So the customer just takes their plan, all the plan inclusion overseas, and for just $5 extra, they can use as they would at home. So what we have actually seen since we've actually launched this, it has actually resonated with our customers. So we've seen that almost 3 million of users of $5 roaming when we've launched it. And not only that, we've seen data actually have increased a lot more. So more than 460 million of megabytes of data has actually been used on the $5 roaming. So now, this is where the exciting news is. We want to be able to give our customers free roaming when they are in New Zealand. So Vodafone is waiving the $5 per day roaming charge when our customers travel to New Zealand. What this means is that the customer can basically use all of their plan inclusion. They can call, they can text, and they can surf the net with no extra charge when they're in New Zealand. Now, when you think about a customer today, when they roam, what do? They worry about how much charges it is. You could so even the competition who has actually followed on this, they would actually have to activate the charges. They have to activate the travel pack. They would even have to, and if they go above the plan inclusion, they'll actually be charged a lot more fee to it. So this time, what we are actually doing is that when a customer travels to New Zealand, there will be no extra charge to them. Now, why did we choose New Zealand? What we want to be able to do is to provide a benefit that actually is relevant to our customers and will actually impact a large part of our customers. So when you look at New Zealand, it is actually the #1 overseas destination. So I think more than 1 million customers have actually traveled to New Zealand. And in Australia itself, we have 600,000 Kiwis who live here. And as we all know, it's a very important business destination for companies in Australia and working in New Zealand. So in all of this, what we want to be able to do now is that we want customers to be able to say, look, roam like home, right? When they go across to New Zealand, they will feel like it's actually part of Australia, or New Zealanders can actually say it's actually the Western Island. So it's all one of the same, and the customers can use it without worry, and call home and connect as they would. So that's really the exciting sort of like innovation we want to share with you. So first, we have a partnership with Qantas that actually allows the customers to be able to get the frequent flyer points. And now we're allowing the customers, when they travel to New Zealand, beyond the $5 per day roaming to 50 countries, we're now waiving it for New Zealand. And so customers should have no reason not to switch on to roaming and to actually switch on to Vodafone. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to pass over to my colleague, Stephen Smythe, who is our General Manager of Consumer Products, and he'll take you in detail in terms of the product that we have.
Thank you, Luke. Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Just a couple more minutes to give you more context and product details. It's my role in Vodafone and launching the new products and pricing. It's often just a big frenetic, lots of small price changes in the market. That's what telco has a lot of offer. So it's just a real delight to be able to come in and talk about something which is truly game changing. And that's why I just wanted to give that context of why we think on some of the product details that really comes out. When you look at what's happening in the market in mobile right now, it still amazes me just how much consumer usage is really changing. Customers use their phone for twice as much data every year. That keeps going. They're using their phone, they touch their phones. I'm sure as journalists you probably touch even more than that, but it's at least 200 times a day most people using their phone. And sometimes when that consumer changes so much, it's how do you create a model that will work for the way the customer wants to use their phone? And roaming is really at the front line, at the battle line of how telcos have this choice. They have this choice of that sort of short-term commercial optimization that looks good in the short term but doesn't really build for the future. And that was just going to be my first point. Is that I think when you look globally, there's a lot of telcos out there. Customers going overseas, they want to use their phone more. They particularly want to use a lot of data, and that short-term commercial instinct is to keep using roaming as a cash cow. And it takes I think a lot of boldness as a company to say, well, we won't take the short term. We'll try and leap forward to a model which we think will work for customers, genuinely customer first led, but will also obviously work commercially for Vodafone as well. And that's what we've tried to do. And the $5 roaming, obviously that was launched a few years ago, but we continue to build on it, and it goes from strength to strength. And I really think when you look at the context of Vodafone's turnaround, it really is just it sums up what we want to be as a company in terms of really being customer first, being bold, and trying to create solutions that really work for customers. It has challenged the industry, and I think Vodafone as a player is important in the Australian industry as a challenger. And you'll see that competitors have responded to the roaming more recently. So they're no longer charging super high rates. But what I wanted to give you a bit more detail, it's in the packs that you've got as well, is that I would characterize the way that they've responded is still within that short-term commercial logic, and there's a bunch of caps and catches. So what we've tried to achieve with $5 roaming is something that's fair pricing, that's really simple and easy to use. When you look at what competitors have done, and this is a summary chart that you do have, although I think that competitors have moved to try and change on price, I don't think it's anywhere near as simple a product. So what you see with Optus, instead of a $5 a day that we charge, it's a $10 a day product. With Telstra, you have to buy 3, 7, 14-day packs. There are different zones as well, different prices for those zones, but you definitely can't access a $5 a day price point per day. When you look at these, what I mean by data caps and manuals, we go back to that consumer change, customers using data, using a lot more data. They want to go overseas, they want to use Facebook, they want to take photos. finding his competitors are putting in caps that limit how much data they can use, which is exactly the opposite of what customers want to use their phone for. In addition, as well, a lot of the time it's not an automatic process. You don't access these kind of roaming rates just automatically. You have to sign up online, or you have to call in to try and get these packs. It's not an easy to use process. And then in the context of those data caps, for a lot of our customers, they will, because they're just using their plan like they would at home, they just get access to their $10 a gig overage when they use more when they're overseas, which is super simple. But what you find in Optus and Telstra, they have much higher data overage rates once you go beyond that data cap. And so when we come back to what we try to achieve, this product, simple, fair pricing, easy to use, that's what we're trying to achieve. Now, for the New Zealand trial, that's new for 2016. I think that'd be fantastic. The broader context I wanted to put in that as well was for Kiwis and for people traveling to New Zealand, it isn't just our roaming, which is amazing. Obviously now with Qantas, they can get Qantas points, they can get a lot of data. To give you one example, just as a simple product that we run, which is a $50 SIM-only plan, you get 10 gigabytes of data per month on that plan, which is an awesome amount of data. But if you go to New Zealand, you'll be able to access all of that 10 gigabytes worth of data. And in addition, just as in the Qantas plans, also in this 50 SIM-only plan, you would be able to have unlimited calls to New Zealand as well as 9 other countries in our infinite 10. So we just feel that what we're doing is really challenging the industry, and at the heart of that is just some fantastic propositions, which I'm sure every Kiwi in the country and everyone who travels to New Zealand is going to be meeting back to our door. Okay, and that was it. So what's next? Just a brief view of how this $5 roaming has been super successful for us because our customers have loved it. People have come to us. We'll keep doing more of that. It takes a lot of work to build these propositions, lots of country-by-country contractual negotiations. Can we do more of it? We'll keep doing more of that. But we won't stop there either. We'll keep looking for these innovations like New Zealand roaming as well. So thank you for your time. Now I'd like to invite Ben and Lufan back onto the stage. Q&A.
Yes. Just a follow-up freelance. Ben, you mentioned some sort of corporate communications deal with Qantas. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so a lot of the contracts sort of negotiations are confidential. I guess the point I was trying to make is not just a point still, there's an overarching deep strategic alliance.
So you're providing mobile communication services to Qantas essentially?
Correct.
Correct. You can't give any details of that?
Not at this point. I can take that question and come back to you. A lot of the questions with regards to the Qantas side of things, we'll take a note and the Qantas guys will come back to you. At this point, I can't elaborate any further.
Okay. And one other quick question. What do New Zealanders get roaming to Australia? Do they get any similar deal?
So obviously we're associated with the Vodafone company over there. There's different ownership structures compared to here. At this point, they're not going to be offering anything for those customers, but they are working on some different products very soon.
Thanks.
So it's a one-way. The Aussie Kiwis are the winners of this one.
So, following on from that, Lufan, you cast the New Zealand offer as a pilot to, from the surface it looks like you could extend free roaming anywhere you have Vodafone, the group subsidiary company, because you can weigh in the internal fees. Are there plans to expand the free roaming to other countries, especially at a time when your biggest competitor has just taken a lot of fly of hiking its roaming rates?
So that's the whole reason why we're doing this trial for 12 months, to really understand how the customers are actually taking it on and how the customers are using it, and we want to see how the traffic goes and so on and so forth. So, are there in the plans? We'll definitely consider it, but this is really the first pilot for us.
Mitch?
Sorry, jumping off in this room. So how many Vodafone customers used $5 roaming in New Zealand last year?
We have that stat, but I'm not sure if we probably won't share that information.
I think one thing we say it's the #1 destination, which is consistent with the Australians travelling abroad. That's the #1 destination. We see that mirrored in our plans.
Let's see if we can find out.
A couple of questions on the Qantas deal. Is it available on the lower tier plans than $80, or is that the local option?
Yep. So with regards to the phone inclusion, 24-month contracts including phones, 80, 100 and 130. But then the SIM-only plan, so the SIM-only 24-month plan starts at $45.
How many points do you get on it?
The 80 and 45, you're talking 4,000 points. The $100,
No, on the SIM only. You've got the on that, you have the SIM only.
exactly the same. So let me clarify, sorry, that's a good point. So the $80 24-month plan and the $45 24-month SIM only, you get 4,000 points. $100 24-month plan and the $60 24-month SIM only plan, 5,000 points. $130 24-month plan and $85 SIM only, you get 7,500 points. But if you do those online, those points are doubled, either through Qantas or Vodafone.
And you also mentioned that you'll be selling the SIM and handset packages on flights. Which
Right.
handset? Or handsets?
Have them over here for you. So we have a range of different products. So the $50 SIM only prepaid SIM pack is the start. We've got the Vodafone Smart 6. I've got some bundles, we've got some chargers, we've got some battery packs. So I'll give you those details after.
That's the only handset you'll be selling?
To start off with, yes. So this is about customers coming into the country who would obviously not be able to, if you're here for a 2-week holiday, 3-week holiday, you wouldn't probably connect off a postpaid plan. So we're selling you phones that work here, SIM cards that work here, obviously on good rates for visiting customers.
David Flynn from Australian Business Traveller. Just to pick up on that and follow from Alex's question, what do people do at the end of their 2 or 3 week holiday? Do you have a program where they can drop their phone into a e-waste recycling bin of sorts at the airport, or do you expect them just to sort of trash it when they walk out of the country?
Yeah, no, we obviously encourage customers to be very sustainable with their technology. All our Vodafone stores at the airports, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, etc., we all have e-waste phone recycling stations for them to do that. And then with regards to the SIM cards, obviously the SIM card is something for that. But for the phones, we do encourage sustainable use. That's what we're all about.
So you'll be actively communicating to people through that package at the end of their trip on their way out of the country, drop it into the Vodafone store?
Correct.
Charlie?
So when,
So can I confirm, we encourage them to be sustainable. That could also mean taking it with them. Those phones can actually travel with them. You can take them with you. You don't have to throw them. But if they want to, yes, we'll do that.
But they're not locked to Vodafone?
Internationally, no.
So if I buy a phone and a SIM card on a Qantas plan as I'm flying in Australia,
Yes.
and is it just from New Zealand that you said you're doing this, or from any destination overseas?
Yeah, so Qantas will be carrying these products on planes into the country.
Yeah. Or on
From
all
all
Qantas-
destinations, yep. So
Yes,
you,
okay.
US,
So is it the same as if I go to a Shell service station and buy a prepaid SIM card that I then go and activate it myself and all that kind of stuff?
Correct.
Or is there,
Correct. So-
and are the Qantas staff trained to assist people if they are having problems doing that on the plane as they land or anything like that?
Okay, so business as usual at the moment is customers land on flights. I mean, you can buy some worldwide global SIMs, etc.
Yeah.
They don't offer the best value, or we don't believe they do. So customers will get off the plane. This is all customers. We've got a shop in all the major airports around the country. Usually get your bag, come through customs, come out, you need to buy something. We do tens and tens of thousands a month of customers existing doing that right now.
Yeah.
So the concept behind this is instead of getting your luggage going and then lining up and doing all that type of stuff, you can do it on the plane just like you would buy any other duty-free sort of product. Obviously, you can't start up and turn your phone on a plane.
No.
So the staff are or will be trained on the actual product, the conclusions and how best to use it. If the customers have any issues getting it started, we've got staff at all major airports, or of course they can use our customer care numbers.
Question for the Qantas folk. Given that you ended the partnership, or Optus ended the partnership with Qantas in June last year, what made Vodafone the right choice for your new telco partner?
So the Qantas team won't be answering questions
Okay,
live,
sorry.
but that question will definitely be noted down,
Okay, sure.
and they'll be back to you ASAP.
Thank you.
Which, just on that Qantas deal again, so will Vodafone be paying a flat fee for the points, or how does that work?
Look, the commercial agreement between Qantas and Vodafone is obviously confidential, commercially sensitive. However, we've looked at this deal not just as a points; it's an overarching strategic partnership. So I can't go into details of the actual agreement itself, but we're very happy with the agreement that we've struck up. Very excited about it being a long-term partnership.
Alex.
Just quickly, when you're roaming to New Zealand for free, will you be on the 3G network or the 4G network over there?
For New Zealand, 4G.
Just to clarify one thing, Ben, you mentioned earlier, building on the deals you got with Spotify, Stan and Fairfax, adding Qantas points. It's my understanding, it seems to be from this though, that it's an either-or proposition. With the Vodafone plans, you get a choice of Spotify or Stan or Fairfax digital sub, but not the Qantas points. On a Qantas red plan, you get the points, but not the option for Spotify, Stan or Fairfax.
Okay, let me clarify. Yeah, sure, no problem. Very good question. So just to the overarching deal of this is to make sure that customers have choice. Okay, so we want customers to feel empowered in their choice, that the choice is personalised for them as much as possible. So the Qantas plans are, you can either choose, if you come to Vodafone or you're on any of those three plans that I mentioned, all the SIM-only plans, you can choose either have Spotify, Stan Access or Fairfax or Qantas points.
I think your question might be the mechanism, is that right, in terms of, because they said as two plans, is that?
Yeah, they seem to be more positioned as two plans.
Yeah, so the Qantas plan comes with points, a non-Qantas plan, same inclusion, etc., just no points. You choose either Spotify, Stan or Fairfax.
So if I want the Qantas points, I have to specifically sign up for a Qantas red plan.
Correct.
Whereas the Vodafone plans offer the choice of Spotify, Stan or Fairfax.
Yeah, all same inclusions, all same data.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a bit about some of the technical integrations of how you do that. But I guess from a customer perspective, we just want them to have choice. We'll obviously make them, we'll put them on the right one.
No, I just want to get it through my head, so beautiful. Thanks, guys.
Can you choose in retrospect which you get? I'm only asking because I keep getting reminders that my subscription includes Fairfax, what it does.
Yeah, so let me just in case you want to jump into the technical side of things, if you have not chosen, which I think is your case, you haven't chosen, then we'll keep reminding you because we don't want you to forget and miss out because you've
Qantas
forgotten.
will be added to that choice then.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, once you've chosen, at this point in time, you can't retrospectively change your mind.
You're locked in for 2 years into renewal.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct, yeah. However, if you have not chosen anything yet, we're going to keep reminding you because we don't want you to miss out because you've forgotten or too busy, etc. Correct? That's why this was describe that.
Yeah, no, that's right. I think there is a technical term where we do allow rate plan changes, but let me get back to you to confirm on that exact process for customers who've already signed up for capacity. The normal rule is you can't just switch to the latest new deal, but there are sometimes exceptions.
Charlie, right?
Yeah, so just so I'm clear, Australian Vodafone customers that go to New Zealand get $0 roaming for 12 months. New Zealand Vodafone customers that come to Australia will pay normal roaming charges.
Yeah, so this announcement today.
Is that the deal?
This announcement today is for Vodafone Hutchison Australia customers. Vodafone New Zealand customers. They have to speak to Vodafone New Zealand. This is a Vodafone Hutchison Australia announcement. So Australian Vodafone Hutchison Australia customers will travel to New Zealand and get the $5 per day roaming fee waived. Yes.
So all those All Black supporters that come over here.
They're more than welcome to come on because they choose our network to roam on. Yes, of course.
Good.
But that offers to do with between them and the Vodafone New Zealand.
Excellent, thank you.
Just following up on the extras, Qantas Red versus Vodafone Red. So let's say someone has signed up for a Vodafone Red plan a couple of months ago, tick the box to get Spotify. Can they then upgrade or cross-grade at the same price to a Qantas plan, retain the free Spotify sub because they've reactivated, and get Qantas?
No, this is what I just want to say, because there are some instances, particularly when people trade up plans and so on, that they can accumulate, just like you could be on a $60 plan, you could trade up to an 80 plan, you get more data, you get Spotify, and that's what unlocks this stuff. We've got some specialists, maybe because that's super technical, maybe I would suggest that we'll get that.
It's 30 minutes after this, and we'll confirm it all just to make sure we're 100% on. What I can guarantee you is that one of the business principles we have in Vodafone Australia is to make sure there's no tricks, catches for customers. So we'll clarify everything. It's perfectly spot on.
Simon Canning from Umbrella. Where, beyond the actual sign-on points, where are the opportunities for frequent flyers to continue to earn points using their Vodafone points on the plan?
Yeah, so one of the when we first looked at this, the concept of it and how certain people have done it in the past, etc., and how we'd make it different, and also taking into consideration the feedback we've got from customers, and also listening to be honest, listening to frequent flyer customers themselves, we took the opportunity to give bulk points up front at point of sign-on, rather than drip feeding across the time. So for new customers, it's obviously when you first sign up to one of those plans on a 24-month agreement. And for existing customers, at the time they upgrade or re-sign, etc., that's the point. So it's the beginning of your contract, at the end of the 24-month agreement.
So there's no further opportunity to earn points with you in...
No, we will not be drip feeding all the way through. It's bulk at point of sign up and at finish. And that's designed from the feedback we've received on previous schemes in the industry and how best customers wanted it. And that's the feedback we've gone for, and that's what the agreement we've done.
So sorry. So for me, I renewed with you guys for 2 years in December. Double data.
Yep.
Does the double data bit, is that roam? Do I get access to that in New Zealand as well, or not?
Correct.
Just the
No,
base.
so, this is, as I said, no tricks, no catches for our
So the whole
customers.
amount. And is that's just
If you
for New
are a
Zealand?
Vodafone customer
Yeah.
on postpaid, like you are, I know
Yeah,
you are,
yeah, yeah.
when you travel to New Zealand, we don't segregate the data stuff. All your data is accessible
Okay.
in New Zealand, and we're now waiving the
But
$5.
then for Barcelona, for NWC, right, that's just the base or the extra?
No, it's exactly the
It's the
same.
whole amount?
Yep.
Okay.
So just, the thing that we'd like to talk about is that we think we're very different, and
I'm just trying to find
very
holes in it,
simple.
that's all.
We're very simple. When you travel to a $5 a day roaming country, which is just over 50, which includes Spain, because I'll be there as well. I'll be there probably with you.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about what data you've got. The data you have in Australia is the data you have access to over there
Yeah.
for $5 a day. In New Zealand, we're now waiving the $5 a day.
Yeah.
In Barcelona, for example, it's usually $5 a day.
Can I just add as well, because it's another change, that's also international calls as well. So if you have international minutes
Yeah.
or Infinite 10 in your plan, you can also use that overseas. And that's another difference. The other providers might give you data, but they don't allow you to use the Infinite. They don't allow you to use your international call inclusion. So you're in Spain, but you want to call New Zealand, you can do that Vodafone.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're with another provider, you had international minutes, but we're in Spain with
So
a travel
those
package,
international
you
minutes
would-
that I've got, I can use all
you take all your inclusions with you.
from Spain to other.
It's not just data, it's all your inclusion.
Cool. Okay.
You mentioned earlier, you've got more countries to come this year. Can you share a few of those countries on the shortlist?
Look, I think we can give you principles, right? So we're not in the game of just trying to do countries for the sake of a badge of countries. We want to be relevant where Australians go. That's the priority is where Australians go. There are a lot of idiosyncrasies in the global roaming market with the operators you work with, but I think you could have a pretty safe guess in terms of if you list those top 50 destinations that Australians go, we're going after all of them. But whether we get them this year, it's all about how well we can get the deals in place.
So Canada may or may not be on that list.
I mean, Canada's a top destination, right? So we don't publicly say which is the next one coming in, but it's consistent with the principle. We want to go after that as a top destination for sure.
Okay, Thomas, last question, if anyone wants to ask anything.
Just what type of hurdles are there in getting those deals across the line?
Well, it's a commercial negotiation between different operators, and so it has all of those classic amounts of price and volume, and sometimes technology aspects as well. In some countries, it's also regulated roaming rates as well, because there's some countries where they make their money of other operators going in. So sometimes it's about how do you break down all of those challenges.
But you guys take a hit in terms of revenue because of this, your foregoing money.
But this is where the leap that I talked about before. We're trying to make it work for customers because they love it, but also work commercially for us as well. And so a lot of it rests around if we do the right thing for customers, then they can use it more, and more customers use it, then actually you can definitely make it work commercially on all those revenue and population metrics as well.
It's part of the challenge.
Yeah.
Right, which is, if you're not on Vodafone and you're travelling overseas, chances are you're paying too much. And our challenge to the market is ask your telco why they can't do the same bills we do, especially in places like New Zealand.
Yeah, sorry, Alex from iTWire. Is Vodafone doing any testing with Nokia networks on the Artemis P cells, which can, according to them, deliver 5G years sooner than the normal 5G 2020 rollout?
Yeah, so thanks for that. Our global group chief technology officer was here a week and a half ago, so there was a few statements there. Today's press briefing is not going to go into that area, but we love those questions, so what we'll do, we'll take it down and we'll get you in touch with our technology department and I'll actually answer it for you. But we can't talk about that today. Sure. But there's lots of exciting things happening which you would have heard a week and a half ago.
Fantastic. Two last questions. Charlie,
Sorry,
quick.
question by Twitter. All your customers in Australia are on $5 roaming. Does that mean, if I got a Vodafone SIM in my phone and I signed on 5 years ago to Vodafone, does that mean that I'm roaming? Or 10 years ago I'm roaming with this price?
So the principle is all at postpaid, so it's a postpaid product, so not the prepaid. There are some very, very tiny small numbers of people who are on your plans from, say, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And we've been in a process actually for the last 12 months to actively call those people and say, we can do you a much, much better deal. There are some instances where you can't contact all of those. So there's it's a very, very, very small minority of people that just are sort of stuck.
Yeah.
And we're trying to tell them why it's great to do this.
So if I signed up to Vodafone from when on postpaid, am I on $5 roam? Am I on the roam?
Well, everything that's from the last 5 years at least, and in fact we keep on pushing that back because we go back and once you get people off, you can get rid of the old plans, and so in the end, that horizon is being pushed back and back to those 5 years.
Without quoting exactly, Charlie, you're talking about a couple of thousand out of millions.
Okay.
Now, and all those customers have to do, if they do intend to travel, jump on the phone to us and we'll look after them straight across.
Okay, cool.
I think the key here is that we are not in the business of tricking or, you don't have to be suspicious of our motives. We literally want you overseas using your phone and, challenging the market to do similar.
Alex.
You mentioned it's a 12-month trial for New Zealand and roaming. The website suggests it ends on the 1st of December, isn't that 11 months?
We will get that changed.
Catch, it should be from Feb 1, so it should be 12 months from
It's a
today.
12-month pilot.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
We'll have that changed.
So it's till Feb 1, it's traditional.
It's a 12-month pilot.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, thanks very much, everybody. A big thank you to our friends from Qantas for joining us this morning. Ben, Luke, Fun, and Stephen, and big thank you to all of you guys for joining us. Guys, we'll be staying around here if you want to have a chat later to see Jen and myself, and we can help join you up.
Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate it.